Number 9 is All Stars, a movie from
Yes.
1997, directed
Yeah.
by Jean van der Velde, a Dutch cult movie about a recreative football team of guys
Of heroes.
being friends for like since they were 7, starting with football, and well, they matured together. And the storyline is, to summarize, on the way to their 500 game to play, and the wedding of somebody. The team is almost falling apart, and like life is appearing with everybody, and so love, divorces, weddings,
Jobs, everything.
jobs. Yeah, exactly. And
The wrong
in the
one
end,
with it.
it's about, is friendship still surviving? Yes or no? And the whole symbol of life is football, like the
That
teamwork.
afternoon on Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, it's all based on an sentiment of playing on Saturday morning with your friends, having beers after, discuss the most important topics of your life, and but also helping out when life turns bad to you, and are your friends are also there when it comes to this darker side of life. And they have a slogan, "Together is not alone," and that's kind of the moral of the movie.
Yeah.
And I really loved it. It was a movie that inspired, I think, a lot of football players, football teams, especially on a recreative level.
Yeah, sure.
And it symbolizes the feeling what you have when you were a young player, when it was finally Saturday morning,
Yeah.
7 a.m., running out of your bed, get your shit together, and go to the football pitch.
Yeah.
The smell of green, fresh grass,
Yeah.
and yeah, I think that is great done. And it was also a Dutch. Well, they sent it to the Academy Awards. I think it was not nominated, but it could have been. In
It's
my
a great
opinion.
movie. Yeah.
Very good movie.
It's like you said. It's more than just a football movie. It's a movie about life also.
Yeah, life and friendship. Yeah.
Football is just the
Connecting.
the scene where it's happening. Yeah.
All right, Koen, your number 3 and the number 8 in the list.
Yeah, so I wanted to add also one thing to All Stars. It was also supposed to be on my list.
It was in my honorable mentions, actually.
Of course, yeah. Now for me, it's like I live now for 8 years in another country, and All Stars was for me always, because they also made a show, a series out of it with I think 4 seasons, and the first 2 are very good still. With the first is with all the same actors, I think. In the second one, they change actors. But that was my thing. The first 2 years when I was here, I was with someone at the time, and that person was always traveling abroad for a long time. And I was homesick sometimes, and I always used to go on YouTube and find these episodes. And I even bought in the end the DVD box from Holland to get it here, and I watched it from time to time to get that memory back, you know? Yeah, and even now when Corona hit it also, I had 1 week that I wanted to watch an episode each night or something, because it has an essence of friendship, and also I never played football when I was young. I still cannot play football if my life depends on it. But because of you guys, I also was introduced to your team, and
We were an all-star team. We were an all-star.
we lived me and Sven lived in a house with 2 other guys, and Saturday was for me also. Someone woke us up, and we had to go with the car. We had to go to the field. We had to play after that beers. So for us, the movie for me made even more sense after that, and I already liked it before. So yeah.
Good. But your number 8.
My number 8. I have to see which order I'll put them. I will start with the number 3. So number 8 from the top is for me the movie The Fighter. It's a movie with it won I think 2 Oscars for leading for the not for leading actor, for the Christian Bale won it for co-actor or supporting best supporting role, and Amy Adams won it also for best supporting role. It's a movie about a real life story. It's about a washed up junkie boxer that Christian Bale plays. That he had huge potential. He was supposed to be like the next biggest thing, and his life washes away while his younger brother, played by Mark Wahlberg, is becoming quite a good boxer in terms that he can be professional and can make serious money out of it. And every time he gets held back by his brother, and Christian Bale plays. Yeah, he lost so much weight for this role again. He has to play this junkie boxer, so he's scary skinny. Reminding me a bit of like the guys from Trainspotting, you know, like.
Even that. I think I saw photos of that.
Yeah, it's really scary, and the movie is. I think I watched it even twice. Once it was on TV, and I watched a part of it, and I had to watch it on Netflix, and the story is a bit cliche. So I won't tell the spoilers because it will end up in a certain way that it's done before. But the way, especially the relationship between those three, and you have Mark Wahlberg and he has a girlfriend at the time, and she doesn't want to have anything to do with his family. It's about a family. I think, if I'm correct, it was a Boston family. So it's like the typical harshness of the city. Of course, Mark Wahlberg is a Bostonian, so the accent is perfect. Amy Adams also nails it really good. It's about this life of, with respect, saying simple people maybe that come from very bad backgrounds, and they try to hustle their way up, you know. And that's very interesting to see because it's nicely put, and with all the struggles life gives you. And then as soon as this man, which I've seen in other movies, as soon as this guy finally goes above, he reaches above and he can reach to a different kind of life. His brother, with all the stress and all the problems and the drugs, is pulling him back. And I think the movie is very nice to watch. It's in my opinion like easily an 8.5. But the acting of Christian Bale makes it like step out of that level. It's just really, really good.
I think actually, now that you say it, I think it was after this movie. Because when was this movie made?
1 second, let me check it immediately.
Because I think there was after this movie that the next movie that he did, that he had to gain a lot of weight again. Maybe it was Vice.
Yeah,
that people were really saying like
Vice,
this is not healthy anymore.
No. This is 2010. Vice was 2018, I think. So no, this is he had to gain weight for American Hustle, I think.
Maybe that was the one. Yeah.
Because it was Jennifer Lawrence.
Super skinny to super. It's not healthy.
Yeah,
but,
he's a crazy mad actor, but
but a great actor. Okay, so if you
sorry. So if you like boxing, if you like a story about a loser that tries to make it big, and if you like, if you like Christian Bale, you should watch this movie definitely.
Yeah, sounds good.
Right, number 7.
Number 7. Yeah, my number 7 was actually I wanted to put Rush there, but we discussed it up front a bit, and I think one of you also has it. So let's see where it ends up. So no Rush here.
Yes,
So I have to pick another one quickly. So for number 7, the first one that came up, and I think it was also in at least Sven's mind.
Yes.
That's
Wax on, wax off.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
This one, the Karate Kid. The Karate Kid. A movie I've seen a lot of times. It's just youth sentiment, more or less. Daniel-san and Mr. Miyagi.
The bonsai tree.
What you said, like there's so many things that I found cool as a very skinny kid. So maybe that's also why I sympathized with Daniel-san, who was also this not so strong kid. And that it is training, like he had to do the dishes, he had to do the painting, and he had to do the waxing, and by that way he came as strong. And what I do remember mostly from it is how much I liked it. Is that on vacations, on the beach with my brother, I always wanted to do the crane birds.
Nice. The
so we were always doing that when we were fake fighting with each other. I was always doing the crane.
Legendary.
Nice. So there's a lot of legendary moments. So no, I think it's a good one to put on the 7 spot. So it deserves to be in the top 10. Also recently, actually, I saw the series Cobra Kai on YouTube, which is with the same actor that plays Daniel's son, and the same actor that plays his nemesis in the
Really?
yeah. But now they're 30 years older, and I think if I remember well, it's Daniel's son that has a dojo, and then his nemesis is a low life now. His life got all filled after he lost that fight. And actually, it's Daniel's son who got a bit cocky because his life was all successful after that fight. So he's all a bit like, so he lives in a big house and rich, and he's a bit like, a bit cocky. And his nemesis is actually the sympathetic guy who you really sympathize with, because his life went all down just because he lost that fight, and everybody hated
the
him.
underdog again. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, exactly. So it was quite well done. Normally those stories fail, but it was also a hit, and there's now already third season coming, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Where you can see this?
Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah?
Mr. Miyagi is still there or not?
No, I think he died. Actually.
Because
the actor.
He was already pretty old then, of course. Yeah,
he was already pretty old. And
what year was this movie from?
He got a nomination for that movie also.
Yeah.
Nice.
Karate
Was the 80s? Beginning of 80s? Or?
80s, I think 94 or so.
Yeah, my birth year. What a great movie! What a great year!
Yeah.
Nice.
But Cobra Kai, you can see on the first 2 seasons at least on YouTube, and I think the third season is now going to some other channel.
Oh, cool. Okay. Cobra
So
Kai.
that's my number 7, The Karate Kid. Sven, what do we put on number 6?
On number 6, I'm gonna change a bit. From film, I like to go make a step to documentaries, because we talk about good sport movies, like we discussed in the beginning. It's really hard to make a good sport film, or at least a good football film. But it's the better is to make a really good documentary about it, because there are many good examples of good football documentaries. So one I would like to point out is On un Momento Dado, released 2004 by the Dutch director Ramon Gieling. And it's about our Dutch legend, world famous Johan Cruyff, from the perspective actually of Barcelona.
Best player in the world.
Yeah, well, one of the best of all time. And he
was the best.
With Maradona, Pele, Messi.
I would say the best 10 ever. Yeah, I think that's something you can note down. But the movie, which makes it really good, it's made from the perspective out of Barcelona. He went from Ajax to Barcelona in 1973 to play there several years, and later on he also became trainer coach. End 80s, beginning 90s, and what he achieved with Barcelona was a sportive success, but the impact on the people in Catalonia was life-changing. Well, that's this documentary reflecting. You have to see Spain. What we see nowadays, Catalonia wants to be independent. In the 70s, Catalonia was far behind Madrid, and the political situation was really tensed. Barcelona never won something serious by then. And when Cruyff came, everything changed. So they call him El Salvador, which you can compare to some kind of Jesus figure. And they also gonna explain.
El Flaco, no? The skinny one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but what I really like also about the style is that they really portray Cruyff and his impact by talking with the right people, daily life people, who are telling what the impact of Cruyff was on their lives. And they also what I really found funny and really expressionistic about this movie is that they're gonna show, they're gonna tell, and they're also gonna express their favorite Johan Cruyff moment on the pitch, which is really,
you see the love, I think. You see the love for the football.
The love is showing up because, and inspired me as a creator of sports, images. When I was working at NOS, I made a series about Brazilian football moments on World Cups, and I kind of used this style.
Nice.
Go on the streets in Rio to ask people there about telling their favorite Brazilian football moments, which
was cool.
And I saw it was working really nice because you're gonna everybody knows he hit the ball like this and then boom, with his head, and they are like expressing
more
it's like on top of their mind, and that also shows what kind of impact football can have on life and on people, which is always being quite underestimated by people who are not into football. We're always downgrading the impact of it and don't want to see it's more than a game. It's
strange, because it's so global now. You should understand the impact by now, right? You would imagine.
But you still hear and see people are like not following it. Also, people from the movie business are really downplaying sports, football, and can't really estimate the impact of it on. Maybe they do, but they are just jealous.
No, but what you say now is funny. Like there's so many moments in life.
It's a journalist talking.
No, but there's so many moments in life when when 9/11 happened, where were you? But the same thing goes for sports. When Cruyff did that special thing, guys our age older would know exactly where they were at that moment. Where they were watching at what cafe. No,
exactly.
I was talking earlier this week with my parents here, and we were talking about Holland against Argentina, 1998. I said we were there. We have at a birthday party. These people were there. There was the pass from this player. He took it like this. I can memorize that. It's completely in my head. There. That's exactly like you said.
And there was no politician or somebody else who could give self-confidence to a state like Catalonia than Johan Cruyff. Johan Cruyff did that, he was.
But that's the
he also was not just a football player. He also made. Maybe we can watch a little trailer after. He did also more than. He also was strong enough. He was a personality. He made statements. He said Barcelona is. We don't have to be scared for Madrid, and I like this kind of stuff. And he gave them self-confidence because he was also a personality outside the field.
Yeah. And the title, Un Momento Dado.
Un Momento Dado.
What can you say about that one?
What can I say about that?
I can say something about it.
The meaning of it, you mean?
Yeah, because it's known for. Cruyff was also known for his playing with language.
Exactly.
He translated. He translated a lot of Dutch expressions literally to Spanish. And Uno Momento Dado is one of those. But that became really a part of the Spanish language now because he introduced it there.
Exactly. Yeah.
It means on a certain moment. It means if you would literally.
He was a genius in several ways, and as you say, he was also a genius with
language.
Yeah. So my number 5, which is my number 2, is the movie that I saw. I think it was the last movie. No, not the last movie I saw in before the Corona crisis hit. Is the movie? He has 2 names. In Europe, I think it's called Ford versus Ferrari, and in America, it's called Le Mans '66, or the other way around. I don't know. It's a movie about the story itself. The bigger story of this movie is very famous. Is the ultimate battle between Ford, the car manufacturer from the States, and of course the legendary, way more artistic and profound Ferrari. Because Ferrari always won at Le Mans, and Ferrari always won in Formula 1, and Ford wanted to put an end to the immense victory lap of Ferrari. But the main story, the story in the movie is about a driver called Ken Miles. He was a very unfamous test driver. Right? Sorry?
Played by Christian Bale again.
Yeah, Christian Bale. Christian Bale plays. He also lost a lot of weight for this movie, I think. He's also pretty skinny. and it's about the movie between a relationship between Carroll Shelby. It's a very famous car designer. Everybody knows the Ford Mustang, but most special cars in America have an extra version tuned by Carroll Shelby. So you have the Shelby version of every Mustang, even to this day. And it's just a more powered version. The guy was very good at taking the best out of a standard set and just like getting easily 25-30% more horsepower out of any engine. It's very impressive, especially in those times. So the movie is about Ford wants to go to war with Ferrari. They first offer to buy Ferrari, and then when that moment happens, Fiat gets word of it, and Fiat underneath buys Ferrari out of the hands of Ford. So it's that moment. It's war because the Henry Ford feels like he's been humiliated, stepped on by the owner of Ferrari at the time, and so they have to make a car. Carroll Shelby has to make a car, and he says, but no matter what we do, the guy that drives is Ken Miles. But Ken Miles, played by Christian Bale, is a very tough guy, hard guy to handle. It's a pretty peculiar guy, which makes him also one of the best racing drivers ever lived, I think. Because it's literally his way or the highway, and he can feel like if a very long story short, racing drivers, the better you get, the more you feel every single part of the car. If you look at Formula One drivers, which is the top of the top, those guys, they can do a test lap, they can come back, tell their engineers, they can talk for 3 hours about how they feel an inch there, how they feel like a little bit of a vibration there, and they can even know where it's from. So this guy is... Sorry.
Besides of the story, why did you love this movie?
For me, the movie, a good question. The movie was, there are 3 elements. The sound of the cars is ridiculously good put. If you are a racing fan, it makes so much impression. You hear it if you go to the cinema, it's so loud, it's so nice. It's V12s, V8s, V10s, whatever engines they use at the time. It's impressive. The story is the second element for me that's very good because it's a very, you saw it, boss?
Yeah.
Sven didn't see it, and the people that didn't see it, it's a spoiler. So I won't give the spoiler away. It's in the end a very personal story of this tough guy who tries to make a living out of fixing cars. He's a test driver, but because of his attitude, he never makes it to the big leagues. He never went to Formula One. He never went to NASCAR, Indy Series, whatever. And somehow Carroll Shelby has to fight till the end to get this guy in his car to go to Le Mans. He goes to Le Mans. And whatever happens there, you have to see the movie. But it's a very personal story that I never knew. And it made me see this guy. I would even think of, like, if I have a room, I will put a picture on his wall. Because it's a hero.
You start Googling him afterwards.
Exactly. Like, what happened to this guy? And the friendship between him and Matt Damon plays the other guy, Carroll Shelby, is very interesting. It's very funny. It's a mixture. You don't have to be a car fan or fanatic at all to watch this movie. Right. You know, the story is about a personal story of this guy trying to make it, and actually he himself is the main problem why he didn't make it. You know, he holds himself back by his character, and it's a story of what you need to go. What you need to do to go to war and be able to win Le Mans or not, and to beat the hierarchy of like a big manufacturer as Ferrari. So, no, I love this movie. It was very nice to watch.
You're number 5, and I can agree with it. But I don't think it's the best racing movie made in the recent years, though it got most awards and most success. But we will get to that later, because this was the number 5. We will now go to the number 4. That's not a racing movie, because someone else here is going to do that other racing movie. My number 4 is Rocky.
Of
Rocky
course. Yes.
Yeah. I think in my opinion, it might be the best sports movie made.
Wow.
Yeah, well, and it's because I think it's just very good. It's a very, very good movie. I know you both didn't see it, but if you think about Sylvester Stallone nowadays, you think about a very bad actor. It's a bit B movies. It's not, but in this movie, he's really good. He also received Oscar nomination for this role. and it's the ultimate underdog story. Like if you think now about the underdog story, then if you've seen it, the first movie that comes up is Rocky. And the movie itself actually was an underdog story because it was Sylvester Stallone, who was this not famous actor, who wrote this script while watching a boxing match of Muhammad Ali.
He was a soap actor before this movie, or not?
Yeah, he did some porn even, I believe. But yeah. But so he was not a known actor, and he wrote the story in 3.5 days after watching a match of Muhammad Ali, the screenplay, and then he went to the studios, and the studios didn't want to take it. They liked the story, but they said like, yeah, by the way, Sylvester Stallone demanded that he would play the main part. And the studio said, like, no, we want someone famous like Burt Reynolds or James Caan or Robert Redford was named. So it was an underdog story also in that way, because in the end, one studio believed in it and they gave him the part. And in the end, the movie was made for $1 million and it made $250 million. Talking about a profit. It got 4 or 5 Oscar nominations. It won the Oscar for Best Movie, so it was a big success story, and that's what, of course, this story is about. The story is the underdog story of this boxer of the streets in Philadelphia who makes his way to the top. And,
but does he have like if you look at on IMDb, he has full writing credits?
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
And can you explain? Is this the explanation also why it is such an iconic movie? Because Rocky is like, well, world famous for decades still now.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate underdog story, and I think if you see the movie, also I can't think of this movie with a different actor in the main role. And I think that because this story was very personal to Sylvester Stallone, this was his breakthrough. He was fighting,
the underdog,
He was fighting to make his role in Hollywood. Yeah. And I think that's what shines through in this part. It's his story, it's personal story, and the part are more or less the same. Yes. And it's just very also credits to the director. It's very well done and made. It's just really a quality movie which you don't think of when you nowadays think of Sylvester Stallone. So
who directed it?
That was I don't know him, John G. Avildsen.
Okay.
He won an Oscar. He was Oscar for. I won an Oscar for it actually. And the fun thing is, a little personal note. When I met my girlfriend, we met in Amsterdam here, and then afterwards, because she's from Sweden, we started talking a bit over WhatsApp or something. And it turned out she was also a movie fan, so that was already a plus. But then I said, like, "What's your favorite movie?" And then, or what are your favorite movies? And then she named Rocky. So then I answered with "Marry Me." So then the whole deal was done. And later on, it turned out that she also liked Star Wars, so then there were no questions.
My God, man! Wow.
Yeah. So that's also one of the reasons why Rocky had to really be there. So that's that's the number 4, my number 2. Then we proceed to Sven. Sven, you're number 2 and the number 3 in the list.
No, my number 1 and my.
You're number 1, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So and I choose again for a sports documentary because, well, you can call it almost a movie because it was shown in a lot of cinemas, and it's Maradona, of course, from Ace-Wikipedia, released 2019. You say Michael Jordan because we had a discussion about the aesthetics or like the artistic compare between Maradona and The Last Dance, which is just a compare taken out of air. But okay, here we go again. Why is it so good? I will answer that later, because first I start. Where do you start if you have to make a movie about the best player in the most popular sport in the world, about a personality who has been controversial and praised from all over the world? Well, Ace-Wikipedia had to do it, and the opportunity he got, but maybe that's also a challenge. He had to construct from over 500 hours of never before seen footage, this documentary. And what made it really good is that he concentrated on the period of Maradona playing for Napoli in Italy in the 80s. So he didn't want to make a complete life story about his whole biography, what happened, because the life of Maradona is too full of stories. But he explained actually who Maradona is within this period and with this choice, because you have, and I didn't know that. Well, I knew a lot about him. I really liked him as a player always, but I found him a bit crazy. Especially recently as a coach, and he became a bit like the clown of the world of football.
Yeah.
But how is this possible? And this movie is the explanation to that. You have Diego and you have Maradona, like two different personalities.
Okay,
And that's really explained really well by the people who are being interviewed and by the images you're gonna see who are never been seen before, that it shows the unbearable pressure of being more than a football player, to be an idol for a city, to be God in Naples. It's like with many artists, also in the music world, in other worlds. Like if you compare to Kurt Cobain, he was born with his talent, but he was not born to be a public figure. Maradona was the same. And he had the problem that he came to Napoli, who never anything, who was like the shithole of Italy, because it was the city in the south. And there
careful
was
what you say now.
They will come to your doorstep.
Italian watchers, be careful.
No, it was really the shithole, because the economic heart.
Don't repeat it.
I'm gonna explain. Because the north of Italy is the economic heart, and in the south there was just unemployment, and they were really discriminating people from the south.
Yeah.
Also in the football stadium. Now Maradona came, what you see with a lot of good sports personalities, sport movies. Also mentioned Cruyff. He gave Naples identity, self-confidence, and status, with winning titles, with winning European trophies. And with beating all the North clubs like Juventus, and on himself, he was always decisive when it has to go.
It's a bit resemblance, Sven, with Johan Cruyff, with what he did for Catalonia, of course, in a way.
Yeah. But it's like the story of these two guys. They chose both a different path, and which you can laugh about. But this movie explains how it came so far with Maradona. That he fell in the hands of the mafia, and he wanted to leave Napoli for Barcelona, for another club, but he was not allowed, and he didn't have like a really good surrounding. People were not taking care of him. They want to make benefit of him. And he got like victim of his own success and by all these people. And if you don't know that, and if you don't know that he has these two personalities, because of the pressure of the outside world, you think he's a clown. You think he's an idiot, and you think he's stupid, and it was all his own fault. But in the end, in the core, he was just really maybe naive, sympathetic, sweet guy. Being ruined.
You've seen a lot of sports documentaries. What makes especially this one then that you want to put it on your number one spot when we talk about sports productions?
Besides that the story is great, and that he chose to explain who Maradona really is, by this Diego Maradona. I also really like the artistic side of it, that he decided not to show any talking head. So for me, it makes it also more a movie than a documentary, because from the first to the last seconds, you watch images of the 80s. And he had this 500 hours of never seen before footage, but he also did so much research about the matches being played, the press conferences, like newspaper stills, and every interview that was being done afterwards. All this audio was being used with the footage of the 80s. So you were always in this world of the 80s, so in that world where it all happened. So you were never taking out to like a modern shot of interview with somebody on the couch.
It felt more like a movie like this.
Yeah. So that makes it much more a movie for me, like a film, and less documentary. Although it is.
Shall we watch a clip?
I'm happy to do.
Maradona. Oh, brilliant play by Maradona. Still going.
Maradona é realmente um grande jogador, mas não está com sua formação ainda psíquica preparada.
Uno era Diego.
Era fachero, súper cariñoso, súper inteligente,
Y otro era Maradona.
una persona distinta.
La ville la plus pauvre d'Italie engage donc le joueur le plus cher du monde.
Napoli non ha mai il primo posto, non l'abbiamo provato.
Nos salvó, para ellos fue el dios.
Con Diego iría hasta el fin del mundo, pero con Maradona no daría un paso.
Fue una carga ser tan famoso.
A nivel psicológico esto lo turbaba. Entonces Maradona se impuso.
Fútbol es el juego
The heavenly music.
Yeah.
Empecé a notar que él quería buscar una salida.
Io glielo sono andato a dire. Diego, ti attendo.
Quelli che lo odiavano, Maradona, volevano distruggerlo. Affidandoti alla comunità, inizi a diventarne ostaggio.
Cuando vos entras a la cancha, se va la vida, se va todo.
Yeah.
It's like opera. It's like an opera song. This is why.
Yeah,
they
looks
chose-
cool.
Yeah.
I put it on my watch list by seeing that.
you
So
should.
yeah, that's your number one.
Yes.
The number 3 on the list, or the shared number 1 position, however you want to see it. Koen, you can put the number 2 in there, or the shared number 1 from your side.
No, this is my number one then.
The number, yeah, true. But the number 2 on the list.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's. I didn't even know they were making this. I think before it came out, like I didn't normally. I check a lot of trailers and stuff, but I wasn't aware of this somehow. And when I found out they were making a movie about Formula One, I was already very happy because there is no really good movie about Formula One. There's only the documentary by the same director of Maradona about Senna, which I didn't really. I appreciated it, and I think it was actually good. And I was thinking now, if I see again the trailer, because I also watched Maradona the movie, but I remember why I didn't like it that much, because it was Formula One used to be a very dangerous sport, and it still is. But back in the days, it was like people were dying every weekend, literally, drivers. And in the time of Senna, it was very dangerous still. And the whole movie with Senna is about that you feel this scared of this fear of death somehow, which somehow made me really uncomfortable. And I that's why I didn't like the movie so much. But the quality was, again, very good. His style, also Maradona, you can see, is very nice. So for me, the movie that's my number one is the movie Rush. It's a movie by one of my favorite directors, Ron Howard. I think most of his movies I saw, I think. And,
Solo? Did you see Solo?
Yeah. You didn't like it? You didn't like it? No?
That's for some other broadcast.
Okay, so
there will be a Star Wars broadcast someday.
When it came out that they're going to make a movie about Han Solo without Harrison Ford, I was like crying almost, but that's a different story, exactly.
Let's go to Rush.
Yeah. No, so for me, so they made a movie about Formula One. I was very happy. And there are a lot of famous fights, but I wasn't aware of this one. And the famous ones are, for instance, like Michael Schumacher with Mika Hakkinen, Damon Hill, Villeneuve. If you go back in the day, Juan Michael Fangio, a 5-time world champion, and a lot of famous ones. But I never knew about the story of the Austrian driver Niki Lauda. versus a very flamboyant, like Eddie Irvine kind of style playboy in the name of in the character of James Hunt, which is a legendary driver. British, died very early in his time, unfortunately, not because of Formula One, just because of his lifestyle. And the movie is, the essence is, I will show you, we'll see a little bit of a scene after what I'm telling you now. The main thing I wish for, I always wanted a real Formula One movie, and I wanted to see, for people that don't like Formula One, to have a movie to show a bit the essence why. Because for a long time, people that watch Formula One, they are always called nerds. You like Formula One? Who the hell watches Formula One? You know. And for me, my grandfather that passed away, unfortunately, he let me grow up with Formula One. Every time we went there, it was Sunday. Bam, 1 o'clock, RTL 4. We have to watch now Formula One. And I was always seeing Michael Schumacher, of course, doing the most crazy things and winning 7 championships. And this movie, it takes the essence of why I watch Formula One and why most fans watch Formula One. It's the sound of the cars, the excitement, the speed, the ridiculous speed, because you don't see that on TV. There are a lot of cameras put on the side of a corner, for instance. If they show you without moving the speed of what they really do, you won't believe it. It's ridiculous.
That's true.
And they go with 325 kilometers an hour with 4 Gs in their neck. They go through a corner. It's ridiculous. And this movie really catch that. I was very impressed by it. The story is about Niki Lauda versus James Hunt. They both come up in Formula One. They both enter first with really shitty teams, and they try to make their way, of course, to the big teams like McLaren and Ferrari. Niki Lauda has to buy himself into Formula One. His father is a banker, and he doesn't approve at all of his son's plans. So in the end, he has to take a loan with the Raiffeisen Bank, which is the bank that in Romania I have cards from. It's very funny. It's an Austrian bank from origin. And he has to take a loan, and he has a business plan. And, of course, a real Austrian, he knows exactly what he has to do. And he buys himself a seat at a Ferrari. And Ferrari has, of course, the famous Enzo Ferrari was still alive, the man that made Ferrari what it is. He started Ferrari. He was a man, like a real Italian, in a beautiful, nice suit. He was sitting with the suit, and he got a cappuccino next to the Mugello, the racetrack of Ferrari, the private testing racetrack. And he saw for the first time, he saw Niki Lauda, and he thought, this Austrian that buys himself into our culture, he doesn't understand anything. He's cold, And then he asked the guy with the time standings, how fast was he? He said he's 4.5 seconds faster than our normal driver. He was like, that's impossible, and he was cursing in Italian. It's a beautiful scene. So it's a story about a real determined Austrian man that is very Austrian versus a very flamboyant British guy. It shows you how ridiculously dangerous the driving is. In the I think 4 or 5 guys die in the movie that you don't know the names of, whatever. But it's like they show you crashes and everything. And Niki Lauda, of course, it's not a spoiler, in the famous race in Suzuka, where he said before the race he doesn't want to race because it's too dangerous because of the rain. It was, if a race track is very wet, it becomes aquaplaning, and also you guys know with your car, you can slip off immediately, and it's very dangerous. What happened, he crashed, his whole car, sorry?
I don't have a driver's license, but I believe.
Neither. So that's why you don't want to know. It's exactly that. So he crashes. His car catches immediately fire, and while that happens, he's still not off the track, and another guy hits him. He almost burns to death, and then he comes back. He loses that year the championship, but then he comes back to fight another day with another team, and he wins 2 more world titles. And I was talking with Sven the other day about the review about Michael Jordan. The series showed a lot of winners mentality. For me, this movie shows a friendship between rivals, which is in Formula One a different thing, I think, in other sports.
Pushing each other up.
Yeah, the thing is that everybody that watches this sport always thinks, these guys, they must hate each other. They're rivals. It's about money. It's about fame. No, in the end of the day, the 2 biggest rivals, they always are. They become after always the best of friends, and even between the seasons, they are very good friends because they know it's about life or death in the end. Formula One is now less dangerous, but last season, a Formula 2 driver died in Belgium, for instance. So it's the respect of the thin needle, the thread you balance on as a driver between life and death. It's the romance of the sports, and it's the acting is very good. It's of course Chris Hemsworth as James Hunt, and it is Daniel Brühl, I think his name is.
Daniel Brühl, the guy from Inglourious Basterds.
Yeah, he plays a very good Niki Lauda.
Yeah, what I liked before we start watching a clip about it, what I really liked about this movie is that a lot of sports movies are about heroes, but this movie, they are both actually quite assholes. You don't really sympathize for one. There's not one of them that you're really rooting for. They're both assholes that are just really sportsmen, obsessed by winning and getting the appreciation from the fans, from everybody in their own way.
Yeah, and then they become more empathetic to each other, sympathetic, because they find this friendship and this bond together.
Exactly. But they're not sympathetic characters per se.
No, Niki Lauda is one of the most coldest persons, especially in those times, to see as a sportsman.
Yeah. Let's watch a clip, Koen.
Yeah, it will show you exactly what I said, I think.
Here we go. Yeah.
Wow. I'm really captured.
Yeah, it's great, and I also selected this clip actually when we talked because I also had it before on my list, and I find it almost a crime. That's why I find this movie a bit undervalued. I find it almost a crime that this movie didn't get Oscar nominations for the categories like sound, editing, camera work.
Koen,
you're muted. Koen, you're muted.
In which year was it released?
2015 or something. But I'm surprised about it because like a movie like Ford v Ferrari, which is also a good movie, but I find this one much more impressive. And Ford v Ferrari did get the nominees and did win the Oscars actually, and this one wasn't even nominated. When I see this one again, the editing is great. And
I think it's because of the two leading roles.
Wow. Yeah, I'm really. It's on my list as well.
Yeah.
No, it's very. I think your answer, boss. I think it's really stupid. I think it's just because you have Christian Bale and Matt Damon in the movie.
Exactly. There you have it. Just the lobby for that movie was bigger.
I have to say that the sound editing of this movie was also. That's why I heard about it, because I heard from someone say, "Man, if you ever want to see a movie that's really good edited, this sound is amazing." I was like, what? But also Hans Zimmer makes a soundtrack which comes also alive very good together with the sound of the cars. But also
Hans,
Ford
Peter Hans.
Ferrari, the Hans. Also, Ford
Yeah.
vs Ferrari has very nice editing of the sounds.
Absolutely, but
Yeah.
I feel this movie stayed. Of course, it was quite a box office success,
yeah.
a bit less than 100 million. But still, I feel like this movie deserves much more appreciation. But we put it now in the top over here, so that's a lot of appreciation in the international movie friends sports movie top 10.
And
it doesn't get any better.
Let us know if you like this movie more than Ford vs Ferrari. If you think it's
let us know in the comments.
Let us know.
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna get that Oscar.
Exactly. Get them that Oscar.
We have to get it.
Nowadays, movie fans have a lot of power with Justice League cut coming, so maybe we can get them that Oscar even afterwards. All right, that's your number one. Then we go to the last one in the list, the number one, but let's say the shared number one. My number one. If I say, and not all of you seen it, I think, but I'm gonna do a little quiz in between. You had me at hello.
Yeah. I also wanted to put it in the list. Jerry Maguire. No, yeah.
Show me the money.
Show me the money. Yeah. Show me the money.
Sven is looking at me, seeing water burning. But it's Jerry Maguire, and I think you will like this movie. Actually, Sven, it's my number one movie. It's one of my favorites. It's from 1996. It's a little bit cheesy because it's also a romantic story. It's a bit of a rom-com sports movie, but it's actually, I was surprised how well it got. At Rotten Tomatoes, it gets 83% at Rotten Tomatoes. So that's quite good. So what is it about? The movie is about Jerry Maguire, played by Tom Cruise, your favorite also. And he's a sports agent.
Already he's like, no, leave it.
Listen, I'm going to do this bit. He's a sports agent working as this big corporate sports management agency. Making a lot of money, and at one time he feels like, but it's all about the money. It's not about the athletes anymore. We have to have less athletes, more focus on the noble sports, and less on the money, corporate money. So in one night, he writes a whole paper on how the sports should, how the profession of sports manager, of agent should be done. He writes that whole paper, and then the next day he goes into the office, puts it in everybody's mailbox, and all his colleagues start applauding for him. And well, you guess it. At the end of the day, he's fired because because it is all about the money. So very noble, but hey, you're out. He tries to take his clients with him. Nobody goes with him. Always clients, always athletes stay with the agency because it's safer. They feel more safe with it. But there's one client that stays with him, and his secretary stays with him. Yeah. So there he is with just one client, a bit of a failed athlete, and no income. So that's what the movie is about. I'm not going to spoil anything for people that haven't seen it yet. But yeah, I have watched it a couple of times, and it never gets boring. It has some of the most classic lines in it. It was a huge financial success, brought in more than $270 million worldwide, nominated for 5 Academy Awards, even for Best Picture. That was what I found surprising, because when I think of this movie, I don't think it's an Oscar movie. I like it.
They had nothing else that year, maybe, or
I don't know. Tom Cruise was nominated for Best Actor. Cuba Gooding Jr. won the Oscar for Best Actor. So yeah, that was it did quite well. Show me the money. Well, let's end it with that. That's my number one. But I want to show a little clip. There's actually 2 clips, but I'm gonna pick one. The other clip is "You Had Me at Hello." If you ever want a romantic, cheesy line, there you have it. Check it online if you want. Show me the money. I'm gonna show.
It's a nice
now.
movie for Sunday afternoon.
It's great. It's great.
Here it is. Show me the money.
Jerry, does that make you feel good just to say that? Say it with me one time, Jerry.
Show you the money.
Oh, no, you can do better than that, Jerry. I want you to say it with you with meaning, brother. Hey, I got Bob Sugar on the other line. I better hear you say it.
Yeah, no. Show you the money.
That's not show you. Show me the money.
Show me the money.
Yeah. Louder.
Show me the money.
That's it, brother, but you got to yell that shit.
Show me the money.
I need to feel you, Jerry.
Show me the money.
Jerry, you better yell. Show me the money. Show me the money. I love black people. I love black people. Who's the motherfucker, Jerry? You, my motherfucker. What you gonna do, Jerry? Show me the money.
Congratulations, you're still my agent.
Yeah. Well, that took all of his time, and now he lost all of his clients.
Yeah,
We
great.
showed him the money.
Show me the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think
Cool.
I watched this movie like 6 times or something. It's nice. Yeah.
You have to watch it. You have to watch it. So that finishes our top 10 sports movies. We're gonna do a little quiz to finish
Can
this
I
show
have one?
with.
Can I have one more honorable mention? If you guys didn't watch it, for the people at home checking in on this video, or you guys, there's a very nice romantic. Very romantic movie about baseball with Kevin Bacon.
Costner.
Sorry, Kevin Costner, of course. It's called Field of Dreams.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Also with Ray Liotta, it's very nice to watch. It's a very nice movie also for a nice Sunday afternoon. Yeah.
I also had it on my honorable mentions. Yeah, Field of Dreams, but also Tin Cup, also with Kevin Costner.
Yeah,
so there's
also
still a lot of sports movies out there, but this is our pick, our 10 that we say like, okay, watch these ones first if you haven't seen. If you like this, we do this every week. Please subscribe to the channel, because that means that we can grow our channel and keep making more and more content. Like this video if you liked it.